Hey, Oz.
Hey, Curtis.
What movie we watching this week?
This week we've got a movie marriage of Blast from the Past, Goonies, Zoolander, and the Big Johnson / co-ed naked t-shirt. This week we're watching the Brady Bunch movie.
Oh, the co-ed naked t-shirts. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
That brings me back to, 1998.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like that's the level of humor in this movie.
Yeah.
It's just nothing but innuendos.
Yeah, the entire movie is innuendos.
The entire movie. Sam, what are you doing here? I was delivering some meat. Oh, welcome back to Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme, this month being good movies based on TV shows, and we dissect a movie that satisfies the theme. This week we got Brady Bunch Movie. I'm one of your hosts, Oz.
I'm the other host, Curtis.
And before we get going into the fun, we want to have even more fun by shouting out our Patreon subscribers. Don S., Aaron A., and Mandy K. Thank you guys very much for your patronage.
Thank you.
Brady Bunch Movie, 1995. 2 years after last week's movie, The Fugitive. And the advances in cinema have been tenfold in that time.
Yeah, those 24 months really brought things forward.
Oh, yeah. It's like, yeah. This movie, the technologies are available for this film that were not available for any film prior. So, I'm kidding, of course. This is such a fun movie.
Yeah, just a fun, silly movie. Doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Not at all. But yet at the same time is still charming and heartwarming.
Yeah, it still has a sweetness to it.
Yeah,
it's just fun. Yeah, just fun movie.
So, Brady Bunch Movie features the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
So,
yeah, I got the characters. You got the plot this week.
Yeah, you've got the characters. So, who do we have playing our bunch of Bradys?
Our bunch of Bradys. I'm just going to run down the family.
Yeah.
There's a couple of characters after that. We've got the patriarch Mike Brady, played by Gary Cole, of all people here, Oz, and doing a great job as Mike Brady.
Great job.
They really nailed the casting for the parents. Carol Brady, the one and only Shelley Long. Oh my God, she is amazing in this. Then we've got the children. We have Greg Brady, played by Christopher Daniel Barnes. We have Marcia Brady, played by Christine Taylor.
Just like she's like a doppelganger.
Yes.
I think this may have been my second run-in with Christine Taylor. Mm-hmm. She was on a Nickelodeon TV show called Hey Dude that I watched, but that was like teenage Christine Taylor. And I remember like, oh, she's really pretty. And then I saw her as Marcia Brady, and it's like, that is Marcia Brady. Like, she just looks just like her. Yeah,
it looks just like Maureen McCormick. We have Peter Brady, played by Paul Sutera. Jan Brady, one of my favorites in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Played by Jennifer Elise Cox. Bobby Brady, played by Jessie Lee Sofer. And Cindy Brady, played by Olivia Hack. We then have the Alice, the housemaid.
Yeah.
Played by Henriette Mantel. And Alice's significant other?
Boyfriend. He's my boyfriend.
He's my boyfriend.
That's my bodyguard.
Sam Franklin, played by the Meat Man, played by David Graff.
Played by Tackleberry.
That's right, Tackleberry. We have the villain of the movie, Larry Dittmeyer, their neighbor, played by Michael McKean himself.
Yes,
David St. Hubbins.
I love Michael McKean.
Yeah. Then we have his wife, Dina Dittmeyer, played by Jean Smart, in a role that could have gotten creepy fast.
Yes.
And was a little creepy. Yeah, but I thought Jean Smart played it really, really well.
Yeah. She played it smart.
Hi-yo!
See what I did there?
And then I'm also going to shout out one more character here. Mrs. Cummings, the school social worker, psychologist, maybe, played by RuPaul.
Played by RuPaul.
By RuPaul. You better work.
like they really leaned into that.
Yeah,
like complete with soundtrack and
All right, so Oz, hey, what do we got for the plot? The thick plots of the Brady Bunch movie.
Right. This may be a two-parter, as thick as the plot is. Well, there's a Goonies reference in my movie Marriage because we yet again have a land acquisition film. I think it's the only thing that that TV movies based on TV shows. It's like you got to do a land acquisition, right?
Yeah, Baywatch, Dukes of Hazzard. It's the thing. It's the thing that bad guys do. Is they try to get your land.
Yeah, and so we have, like you mentioned, Larry Dittmeyer, the neighbor, who's also a real estate developer. He has talked every family in the neighborhood, except for the Bradys, into selling their property so that they can turn that area into a shopping mall. And of course, Dittmeyer being the lead on this real estate development. So the Bradys are the only holdout, which is sweet because the Bradys are the most stuck in time, family of them all. They do a great job of making the Bradys' home look just like the television home. AstroTurf.
Oh God!
I mean, it's
just
spot on.
Spot on. And even the way they filmed it as well.
Yeah,
it has that that early to mid '70s hue to it.
Yeah, very much so. So that right away is the point of the movie. Is Dittmeyer needs the Bradys to sell their house so that they can, because if the Bradys don't sell, then the entire development falls apart. So over at the Bradys, they're having breakfast. It's basically an episode. This sets up.
Yeah, it is. It's a 90-minute Brady Bunch episode.
Yeah, it's an episode. And so the Bradys are having breakfast. Alice has prepared it. The kids are getting ready for school. And every character is the same as their character on the show. Jan is jealous of Marcia. Marcia's brushing her hair 5,000 times before school.
And counting it. Every brush stroke.
But there's only one bathroom, and so obviously, it's just that kind of stuff going on. Everybody leaves for school, grabs their lunch. Jan, who wears glasses but doesn't want to because she thinks it holds her back.
I love the Jan character so
much. I do too. She she just bops around and grabs a bag of sugar instead of her lunch. Her mom catches it. It's like
Jan.
Yeah, Jan. And it's just everything in this is just Brady Bunch. It's so great. The kids all head to school. One of my favorite little scenes is Jan takes her glasses off and then gets on her bike and tries just to ride her bike out of the driveway while she goes to the same school as Greg and Marcia, who drive to school, but Jan has to ride her bike.
She has to ride her bike, yeah.
But of course, she runs into the hedge, not once, but twice, knocks over a garbage can, about to get hit by a car. It's just, it's so funny. Cindy, Brady's get some of the Dittmeyer's mail. And so they ask Cindy to take the mail over to the Dittmeyers, and give them their mail. Of course, Cindy Brady has always had a lisp. And they really, the Dittmeyers are just evil people, especially Larry.
Yeah. Dina is just a drunk.
Right. She's just, she's just a lush. But so Cindy takes their mail over, and she's asking if any of our mail was delivered here accidentally. Well, of course, with her lisp, Larry just can't understand her, so he's making fun of her.
Yeah, he's just making fun of this 8-year-old girl.
Yeah,
because of her lisp.
He calls her bad seed at one point. Yeah. Get out of here, bad seed.
What a scumbag Larry
Oh, he is just
he's just a scumbag.
But it's Michael McKean, so it's done just
right,
brilliantly. And so she brings the mail back from the Dittmeyers.
I will say, I love the innuendos Dina is making about Mike. She clearly has had it with Larry.
Yeah.
And of course, she's half drunk the entire movie.
Yeah, tell your dad this Christmas I'll wrap his present.
Yeah. I wish you were like Mike, a strong, virile man.
Yeah, because when I see Mike Brady, that's what I think.
The walking embodiment of virility, Mike
Yeah,
Brady.
exactly, Mike Brady. And once you figure there's 6 kids in the house, but only 3 are his.
Yeah.
And so, Jan, of course, is jealous of Marcia. Cindy, Cindy comes back and she tattles. Like, she's a tattletale, which...
Yeah, that's her thing. Is she's a
Right,
each character has their own, like, defining
Yeah, they got
trait,
their thing.
and that's Cindy's trait, yeah.
Yeah, Cindy's a tattletale, which, of course, every time she tattles, Mike goes into this long...
Now Cindy...
Yeah, every time you tattle, you're basically telling the people you're tattling on that you're a tattler, and then they every time the kids go, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah. Wow, Dad.
Yeah, Greg he's dreaming. He wants to be a singer.
But he does.
He wants to be a singer, but everything is folk songs and stuff tied back into like the 70s.
Yeah,
era.
like syrupy sweet pop.
And it's so and it just is the way he talks to girls is just so archaic and
Vito Keen far out.
Right. Yeah, it's you got poor sweet Peter, who is beginning stages of puberty, so his voice cracks a lot.
His teacher in health class, his very voluptuous female teacher,
very much so.
Yeah.
Miss Lindley. And so he's constantly bombarded with all of this imagery that just really taps into his prepubescent.
He's asked to come up in front of the class and point out the female reproductive anatomy.
Right. He just faints.
Uterus.
But he's attracted to Holly. But he's very shy and awkward. Mm-hmm. Holly, played by Giovanni Ribisi's sister Marcia. Also, she played. She was in Dazed and Confused as well.
Okay.
She ends up being one of Matthew McConaughey's pursuits.
Ugh.
Yeah. And Bobby's thing. I always feel like. I never watched a lot of the Brady Bunch, but Bobby was always like that fifth wheel.
Yeah.
Like every kid had a thing, and then there was Bobby. Bobby's
Bobby's also there.
Yeah, Bobby's the youngest of the boys, but he's still older than Cindy. So Cindy's like the cute baby of the group.
Yeah, I love the bad seed. I'm still giggling.
Yeah. And then so Bobby's role in this one is he's your new he's the new hall monitor at school.
Yeah. And he takes that role seriously,
very seriously
in his entire life.
So everything is up to penal codes and it's
Mr. Dittmeyer.
Right. And so he doesn't have any friends. Nobody wants to be friends with him anymore because he's the hall monitor.
Because he's a narc.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. He's a narcotics officer. And so Cindy brings back from the Dittmeyers a tax delinquency notice that that they are now $20,000 behind on back taxes.
Because that's how property taxes work.
Yep. And this is like their fifth notice or third notice or something and they're facing foreclosure. Well, the Dittmeyers, of course, this is right up their alley, and this is really the cusp of the show of the movie. The show is. The Bradys now stand a chance of losing their home unless they can come up with $20,000. Mm-hmm. They were not going to sell anyway. So this is really the linchpin of the Dittmeyers' plan: is the Bradys are going to lose their house. We'll buy it on foreclosure.
Yeah, it's gonna go up for auction because that's how it works.
Right, and all you have to do is cover the back taxes, and the house is yours. And so. The rest of the movie is designed on how are the Bradys going to get the money.
Yeah.
And so Mike and Carol initially just kind of ignore it. But Mike has a plan to all I have to do is I've been working on architectural design. All I have to do is sell it and we're golden. So then we cut to a scene where he's marketing his architectural design, which is just the Brady house. with some giant pole sign off the roof. And so the first two attempts to sell it fail. You could tell that His boss has no confidence whatsoever in Mike Brady's architectural skills.
Yet he still employs him.
Exactly. Yet he's still employed. And so he eventually breaks it to Carol. We might have to sell the house. So Cindy, being the tattletale that she is, she overhears this, and she goes to her siblings, and are like, "We're gonna, what can we do to raise money to save our house?" So they all dig into their pockets. Of course, the money's nowhere close. So it's very the gift of the Magi here.
Yeah.
Of the kids are on their pursuit to raise the money, while Mike is on his pursuit to raise the money. Neither of them are aware of the other person's plans. Mike eventually does sell his plan to a Japanese company. So it's going to work out.
Yeah.
He gets the money secured. Well, Mike is a very open book. So when Dittmeyer is talking to Mike about it, Dittmeyer, of course, gets as much information out of Mike as he can, and then sabotages the plans.
Yeah.
He goes to this Japanese businessman, and he's just talking about all the awful things that Mike has been doing and is up to. And of course, they pull out of the project. And so the kids are still looking for their avenue of success. What can we do? Well, just so happens, like the night before they have to move out, which I'm skipping over it a lot because it's so embedded in there. There are so many innuendos in this movie.
Yes, it's nonstop innuendos.
That it's like we could do an entire episode on just the jokes, or we could actually do it on the plot. So if you haven't seen this movie and you enjoy a good, satisfying, and funny innuendo, watch this movie because it is chock full of, and they all work.
Yes. The line of the Pearl Jam concert.
Yeah. They all work. And so the night before they have to move out, Marcia has come across Jan actually had come across this contest, this Search for the Stars contest, of course, which the grand prize is exactly $20,000. Right? Tax-free, apparently. It's guaranteed $20,000. Jan had presented this to the group originally, and they all shot it down. Well, now it's the night before they have to move out, and Marcia presents it to the group.
What a great idea, Marcia.
Jan
was my idea.
Right. It's mine. It's Marcia. Marcia.
At one point, Jan is complaining about them going to move out and having to make, move.
Oh, I know. Go ahead.
Having to make new friends. And Marcia goes, "But Jan, you don't have any friends."
I know. I love that line. Jan really does suffer from some mental illness.
Yes, she legitimately has paranoid schizophrenia.
And so she's battling voices in her head constantly. And we know this only because she's staring straight at the camera when it happens, and her head bops back and forth.
Well, and school psychiatrist RuPaul, because apparently school personnel can diagnose clinical mental disorders. School psychiatrist RuPaul basically infers that she has paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And before telling her, "Girl, you better work. Come back when you're pregnant."
Yeah. It's like RuPaul's disappointed because this isn't like a physical health crisis.
Yeah.
Nobody's beating you. You're just dealing with demons. So, and so Jan, having constantly being overrun by Marcia and just being second fiddle all the time. Once this was the camel that broke, or this is the straw that broke the camel's back here. When they are like, "That's a great idea, Marcia," Jan's had enough and decides to dress up. Like, she puts on this giant afro wig to be in disguise and runs away from home. So I read in the trivia, you may have seen it too. I mentioned earlier I'm reading Tarantino's book, Cinema Speculation, and I'm actually in the middle of the chapter on Taxi Driver.
Okay.
And there's in this scene where Jan has run away from home and she's walking down the street of whatever city she lives in. There's a street worker that is like giving her tips and whatever. But as I guess the score that's playing in this is very reminiscent of the score in Taxi Driver whenever Jodie Foster's character is on screen as this 12-year-old, worker.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's kind of creepy there because it's like, obviously that's not what Jan is out there doing, but she just happens to be on the wrong street at the right time and starts getting attention from this professional. Cindy sees that she watches her leave and of course tattles, and as she's getting another lecture from Mike about tattling. But the whole family goes out on a search for her because if this is a city large enough to have street workers out and about, I'm sure the Bradys can all find her in the car.
Yeah. They pack up in the station wagon and go.
Yeah, they all load up in the station wagon and go find her. And we've seen several cameos of original Brady characters throughout the movie at this time, but they've all been very minor, though, so far. Barry Williams, who's the original Greg, like he was a record producer.
Yeah.
The original Peter, Christopher Knight, was a coach. We've only seen it, but they've just been like very flash in the pan. And so we get another cameo here because when they're out on the car, they have a CB radio.
Yes.
In
their station wagon.
And their station wagon. And Carol hasn't used it in a long time, but she goes out on a limb. And
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Christmas Carol. She goes out and she's transmitting out, and Schultze hears it.
Yeah.
Who is played by the original.
The original Alice.
Alice, thank you. Ann B. Davis. She's she's just a truck driver who happens to have picked up Jan. And so, Carol's talking over the CB about, the family's feelings for Jan, and Jan's hearing this. And so, Schultze just takes her home, which is nice. But it's like, at this point, that's the longest cameo we've seen.
Yeah.
Is
the one with the most substance to it.
Yeah, is Alice's cameo. And so, all the Bradys are reunited at home. It's still the night before they have to lose their place, so we get a very much UHF feel here.
Yeah. I love in the cab. Again, you get Jan's inner monologue.
Yeah.
And at this point, it turns demonic.
Oh yeah. Kill.
Don't listen to the driver. Let's go knock over a 7-Eleven.
It's a little cringy that they're just playing on all this mental illness, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. And so we're now at the next day. We're at the Search for the Stars contest. We have a run at Dittmeyer's got a son, Eric, who's in a band.
And he's like the most 90s looking character.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. He's got a daughter too that is just a despicable human being. Mm-hmm. She's like Cindy's age and like makes fun of Cindy with a lisp. Just call her Thindy, and it's it's so despicable. But so we cut to Search for the Stars, and Eric Dittmeyer's band is performing, and they exit the stage. Eric is dating Holly, who of course is Peter's love interest.
Yeah.
And so Holly compliments the Dittmeyer kid on his band's performance. He basically calls her stupid and shoots her down. Well, that's enough for Peter. Peter stands up to him and, raises his voice, or tries to raise his voice.
Well, yeah, he goes to raise his voice.
Right. And of course it cracks. Dittmeyer comes to, physically take care of the situation, ends up stepping on, a mic stand and catching it right in the groin.
Yeah.
So we get a long, 35-second, oh!
Yeah.
Which, whatever, it's fun. But that was enough for Holly to realize that Peter stood up for her.
Yeah.
So right before the rest of the Bradys are on stage waiting for Peter. Before he runs off, Holly gives Peter a kiss, to which now he's Elvis Presley.
Now his voice is down here.
Yeah, his voice is way down here.
Down here.
Because that's all he needed. That was the tipping point for his pubescence.
Yep.
Is
there.
Just a kiss.
Kiss from Holly.
Yep.
Now he sounds like Barry White.
It's so... Jan has a friend. No, sorry.
Marcia.
Marcia has a friend. One friend. Now, all the guys in the school are after Marcia.
Yes.
Because let's not deny, Christine Taylor is just gorgeous anyway.
Yeah.
And so they all have the hots for her. She has no idea.
Yeah.
She's befriended one girl in school who also has the hots for Marcia
yes.
Brady. This character, I don't remember her name. It doesn't matter.
I think it was Noreen.
Noreen. She reminded me a lot of from. I'm drawing a blank on movies today. It's a bad day for me. What's that Alicia Silverstone teenage high school movie?
Clueless.
It's like Clueless. I'm clueless on the title here. She reminds me a lot of Brittany Murphy's character in Clueless.
Yeah, similar look, similar.
Yeah,
vibe.
it's just very 90s,
Yeah.
like wearing the oversized like bib overall or jean overalls.
Yeah.
Your hair's a mess. It's like the white girl Coolio look. I'm gonna twist it up and just throw a rubber band in it. But and so the Bradys go out and perform, and it's a very dated performance.
Yeah, the early 70s.
Early 70s, very poppy and
Yeah, your Osmond type performance.
yeah, your Jackson 5 style. Let's get out. There's a crew.
Keep on,
right.
keep on.
They did a good job with it.
Yeah, it was fine.
But of course, nobody in the audience is even remotely interested in what's going on, except for Noreen and Noreen's new girl, who is this, hot little blonde that is paying attention to her. Mm-hmm. So it's nice because then those little additions of well, good. I'm glad Noreen didn't get hurt.
Yes.
It's those little things.
Noreen deserves happiness.
Yeah, and she gets it, and we're happy because. And so, luckily, though, the three celebrity judges for the Search for the Stars contest are Davy Jones, Mickey Dolenz, and Peter Tork of the Monkees.
Yes, 3 of the 4 monkeys.
And so the Bradys win in a landslide. They get handed their cardboard check for $20,000. So now they have it, and then they rush home because they know their house is up for auction at the same time. So they get back to the auction. Just this scene reminded me.
With a police escort.
Yeah, they get a police escort back. This scene very much reminded me of the end of Dukes of Hazzard, where the Duke boys get a police escort all the way back to
the courthouse
to the courthouse. Yeah. So they get a police escort back. They still have their giant check for $20,000, but now they can pay their tax bill. Mm-hmm. So before the auction is settled, they settle up. They pay the tax bill by just handing
the giant check,
handing the giant check to the auctioneer.
It's legal tender.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, now the neighbors, realizing that this has fallen apart, they all change as well. First thing, they're upset with Dittmeyer because he couldn't seal the deal for them. Mm-hmm. But then once Mike Brady goes into another long-winded explanation on why they all should stay neighbors, giving very specific reasons why, well, where else are we going to see so and so walk through her house naked at 9:30 on Monday morning?
And one of the other neighbors is like, yeah.
Right.
Wait.
Yeah. And so they all decide they're going to stay. The Bradys stay in the house. They all save the day or whatever. Carol's mother comes for a visit, and we see no one other than Florence Henderson.
Yep.
The original Carol Brady is now Grandma Brady.
Yep.
Wouldn't be Brady.
Looks up at the girls. Look how pretty you've gotten. Blows
Jan. And she's walking towards Jan, who's finally we feel like she's going to get the acceptance she deserves.
Blows right by her.
Right. It goes straight to Marcia. And then Jan starts twitching and making her comments about being jealous. And Carol, Grandma just tells her, just knock it off. Stop it, Jan.
Yeah.
When it does, that
cures her paranoid schizophrenia.
The voices are gone. But apparently she was possessed because the demon had jumped over to Cindy, who is now starting to build up jealousy towards Jan, which is kind of odd because it's Why?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing in this movie that would make you feel jealous of Jan.
It's always Jan.
Right? It's like, actually, no, this last 30 seconds has been. But
Yes.
other than that, no. And that's it. That's
the Brady Bunch movie.
This might be the fastest plot review we've ever done.
Well, it's because there's no plot.
There's really, it's like
There's no plot.
Well, let's put it this: we're about at the episode length time,
Yeah.
and this is an episode of the Brady Bunch.
So at this point in the show, folks, Oz and I each give our own unique rating to the film in question. In this case, 1995's The Brady Bunch Movie. Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm gonna give this 7. Well, I don't want to give it that. I'll give it 7 specific CB handles.
7 out of 10.
I almost said
Christmas carols.
I almost said 7 visits from Sam the Butcher, but
I'm glad you didn't.
yeah, I don't want that. I don't want 1 visit from Sam the Butcher.
7 meat deliveries from Sam the Butcher.
What are you doing here, Sam? I was delivering some meat.
Delivering some meat. I also love how you see Alice like tiptoe out of her room, and she's wearing like a kind of a sexy little nightie.
Yeah.
And then she sees the kid and goes back in her room.
It's just everything in there. It's like it's just wholesome. Like
Yeah.
It's like even I don't. It's one of these movies where like I really feel like I could probably show my kids.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get the jokes.
Yeah, they won't catch the innuendos.
But
some of the silliness will still be funny.
Yeah, but yeah, like children's animation at the time. The way like Shrek, I feel, was one of the first ones to really kind of blend it to where we need to make our movies entertaining for adults as well, because they're the ones bringing the kids. But it's like Brady Bunch movie was ahead of that, and that like, hey, we have to portray the Bradys as wholesome.
Yeah.
But we could still make them like we could fill it with innuendos.
Yeah.
It's like because that's what life in the 90s would have been like for them.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, my rating for the Brady Bunch, I'm going to go with 3 out of 4. The Monkeys.
There you go. There you go. That's a good one.
3 out of 4. The Monkeys is my rating for the Brady Bunch movie. Next up, folks, we've got Outside Insights. Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what is your Outside Insight?
I have a 5-star review from Glitter Pen Guide on Letterboxd, left just on this year, June 23rd. This review says, Greg and Marcia driving together in that big old car while Jan had to ride her bicycle, despite all of them attending the same school together, was so dirty. If I were Jan, I'd hate them too. 5 stars.
That's it.
Yep, that's it. So what's yours?
Mine is a 10 out of 10 from the Internet Movie Database from Arturo Smallcharm, left in 2004. I love this movie because I'm a big fan of the old shows. The movie stars Gary Cole, Elizabeth Taylor, and others.
I don't remember Beth Taylor.
Elizabeth Taylor, she was in there.
Shelley Long did a great job. Everyone thought she was Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah. Here I can watch once my favorite actress, Alana Ulbach from Legally Blonde and Sister Act 2. But this is one of my favorite characters from her career. She plays Noreen. But she gets so sad because Marcia never loved her. Cindy's adorable. Her blonde hair is fake, but she's still adorable. The movie has 100% of original jokes. I hope we have the third part in a near future with the same cast before one of them dies.
This movie, he says, this movie did have a sequel that came out like a year and a half later.
Yeah.
And they brought back everybody.
Yeah. Doesn't like Greg fall in love with Marcia or something?
Yeah, I think so. It's like even IMDb, the original had made $54 million at the box office. The sequel only did 21. But yeah, it's like they brought back everybody: Gary Cole, Shelley Long, all the kids.
Yep. A very Brady sequel.
Yeah. RuPaul's back. Zsa Zsa Gabor, Rosie O'Donnell.
You better work.
Barbara Eden, David Spade, Richard Belzer.
Richard Belzer.
Yeah. But yeah, it would be a brand new movie for me. But I know it has something to do with Carol's long lost first husband.
Yeah, I started I watched like the first 10 minutes of it. It came on right after the first one. Yeah, her long lost husband, played by Tim Matheson, comes back.
Right. I would be curious to see if it still layers like the same amount of jokes, because IMDb it has a decent rating.
Not as good as the original.
No, but yeah, this movie it was good. I really like this one.
All right, well, hey, folks, it's that time you've been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3-2-1, in which Oz and I each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the movie in question, in this case, 1995's The Brady Bunch Movie. Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is just the casting. I'm not going to go into specifics on them, but just spot on. Like, all we'll call it 9, including Alice, all 9 Brady members were just knocked it out of the park, really. So that's my first good. My second one is just the variety and layers of the jokes.
Yeah.
Some of the lame OG Brady Bunch stuff mixed in with all of these double entendres and just even deep cut jokes. Like where, Ditmeyer refers to Cindy as bad seed.
And she does look like the bad
seed.
She does,
yeah. And so it's just like those deep cuts to where like you may not even grab it when it's dropped, but if you picked it up, you're like, ooh, that's funny, and so they did a really great job with the jokes in this one. And my third good is Mike Brady's long-winded advice and lessons.
Now Cindy.
Yeah, and a lot of them were very convoluted. Some of them are even completely contradictory to what you would actually recommend. But the kids listened, and they were all like, "Here's my lesson to learn." And and so many, I'm like, I never thought of it that way. And I just got a crack out of those. Like every time Gary Cole started now Jan, it just and even as much Shelley Long's, "Oh Mike, oh Mike, why? Oh Mike, how?" But those long-winded advice and lessons were great. So what are your 3 goods?
My 3 goods, first of all, I just love a good fish out of water story.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't necessarily like time travel someone there.
Right.
Like there's a little fish out of water in Masters of the Universe, which we covered last month in bad movies based on TV shows.
Yeah.
But this is clearly a fish out of water story, and I just, when done right, fish out of water stories can be really fun, and they did it. Yeah. So that's my first good. My second good is, let's go with just the Jan character.
Uh-huh.
I love the depiction of the Jan, and as you said, it veers a little close to mental health cringiness, but I think they walk the line well enough in this movie to still keep it funny. Just all the things she endures, and how her inner voice turns demonic at one point. And, just the Jan character is just hysterical. And my last, and this is just a brief moment, right at the beginning of the movie, Alice is outside. She's bent over checking something, and the newspaper boy hits her right in the butt with the newspaper, and she falls headfirst into the bushes. I don't know what it was. I laughed out loud with that
because there's no way that newspaper hit with the force necessary, but it was still funny.
Yeah, it hits her square in the butt, and she falls headfirst into the bushes. So I don't know what it was, but that tickled my funny bones. That's my last good. Oz, what are your 2 bads?
My first one is, I had a really hard time finding bads for this one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that's poking fun at Jan's mental health. And while it was done comically, and I'm fine with that. But it's like the attempts to help her, I think, are more what was cringy.
Yeah.
Like RuPaul just basically cast her off.
Yeah.
Like
Come
you
back
don't have,
pregnant.
you don't have a problem. Helping you with your problem isn't going to benefit me at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then even Grandma, which is basically telling her, "Shut up."
Yeah,
just stop.
Because that's the cure for mental health. Just stop having mental health illness.
Right.
Like, stop having paranoid schizophrenia. Well, problem solved.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I'll just stop doing it. I'll just stop having a broken leg.
Yeah, all these voices in my head, and none of them thought to just quit.
Yeah.
So that's probably more the
Sure.
bad area there. And second is just Bobby Brady. Bobby Brady just had nothing to do in the movie.
Correct. He got shortchanged.
I almost went with cameos, but the cameos were fine in this
Yeah,
one.
it was fine enough.
But really just I literally changed it as we were shifting over to me now of like just Bobby Brady didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
And so that's my second bad is just you could have given him something to do other than to just be that hall monitor twerp.
Yeah.
Like
Twerp.
to just throw. I mean, all he did was just threw ordinances at people when necessary. It was just kind of like, whatever. What are your two bads?
My first bad is, and we've kind of said this already, it's another movie where the bad guy mechanism is a real estate transaction.
Yeah. Another real estate.
I'm gonna get your land. I'm gonna get your house. Like,
Right.
I'm gonna strip mine the area. Like okay, it's another real estate movie.
Yeah.
So that's my first bad. And my second bad, and this is a legit one. This movie has a couple racist moments.
They do.
Particularly when Mike is trying to sell the Japanese businessman on his design, and you hear a gong in the background.
Yeah.
And then later Larry goes back and talks to them, and it leans into that even more.
Yeah.
It plays some of that, like, that Eastern Asian music, and you hear more gongs, and like, oh, come on.
It's
like,
very...
I want to like this movie. I don't want to be like, oh, that racist Brady Bunch movie.
Right, well, and it's such a subtle racism, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not somebody making comments or treating people a certain way, other than it was a production design or production decision of, let's drop a gong in here. Like, it's unnecessary. We see that the people are, Japanese or of Asian descent. Like, it's not necessary to add Chinese restaurant music to the background.
No, you don't have to do that. Just keep being silly.
Yeah.
You don't have to be racist. So that's my second bad. Hey, Oz, what's your one
This is more of a not only from this, but even from the original show. How do Mike and Carol not have any kids of their own? We never saw them get overly frisky in the show, but they were very openly frisky in the movie. And so you just wonder, like...
Well, they keep getting interrupted.
That's true. But it's like, it's like seeing them in a more natural adult relationship in the movie. It's like, how do you not have kids of your own? You both are obviously fertile.
Fertile.
With the 6 kids between you.
Well, and according to Dina, Mike's very virile, so...
That's true. Maybe you know what? They probably haven't had any kids of their own because what gender would they be? Mike can only produce boys and Carol can only produce girls, so I don't know. Ken doll.
Mystery for another day.
There you go. So that's my What's your
My is, Marcia's nose got flattened by that football.
Yeah, it did.
Like, literally flattened.
Yep.
And she immediately goes on a date after that. And although there was still some bruising, when the date brought her to that lookout in the car, her regular nose was back.
Oh.
So, like, it went from, like, the comically bad prosthetic nose to just a little bruising around her nose and eyes. So, like, how fast did Marcia's nose heal?
Well, I don't know.
Did she just pull like a Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon and just reset her nose?
Well, she woke up the next morning and it was completely back. So
yeah. The next day it was completely fine. So
because it was like Jan's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
was that Marcia was pretty again.
Well, it's another one of Jan's nightmares where she has an oversized pair of scissors that she's sleeping with.
Yeah.
And then she cuts Marcia's hair.
Oh, yeah.
And then like the door opens and they flip on the lights. Oh, Marcia, what happened to your hair? It looks adorable.
It's just a cute little bob.
Yeah. And then Jan wakes up screaming.
Yeah. I really like this movie. I'm glad we included it because because there's a lot of movies that are based on TV shows. We could have done Get Smart. We could have done the Mod Squad. We could have done
Star Trek. Technically,
could have done Star Trek. Yeah, I mean, we could have done the Flintstones. Like, But I'm glad we did this one because it's a good one.
Yeah, highly recommend the Brady Bunch movie.
Yeah, it's a good one. I was a little worried. I was, just because it's like I didn't know if you'd seen it before, and or even if you liked it. I was like, oh, I'm going to throw this out there because it's an iffy one. Like 21 Jump Street is obviously a good movie.
Yes.
Fugitive, obviously a good movie.
Yes.
Even next week's movie is it's a good movie. Like but this one, I was like, ooh, I'm going to take a risk out here. But yeah, I'm glad
it paid off.
Yes. Good deal.
Speaking of next week's movie.
Speaking of next week, we're hitting episode 91, and it's your week. We're going to be rounding up.
We're wrapping up the July month. We're wrapping up good movies based on TV shows with 1991's The Addams Family.
Yeah,
Do.
Yeah, good movie.
Oh, love Raul Julia.
Yeah, oh, he's so good. And we get to revisit Angelica Houston back in the witchy role. Yeah, I know she's a vampire in this pretty much, but
perfect
I know
casting in this movie.
we really liked her in The Witches. I remember,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're back to Angelica. I enjoy this movie, top to bottom. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Again, another movie that leans into the source material, but then does its own thing with it.
Yeah, but again, it walks that line between kind of poking fun in it, but celebrating it at the same time.
Like we'll contemporize it a little bit, but not enough to where it's not, it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. So this Addams Family still works for sure. So episode 91 coming up.
Closing in on the big 100.
I know. A couple months we'll be there. Like I said, I've already looked ahead and I've seen what we've got. We've talked about it.
We got a humdinger of a movie lined up for episode 100.
Perfect movie to turn over to the triple digits. So, well, social media wise, you guys could find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Link to Patreon down below. And that wraps up episode 90. We will be looking at Addams Family next week. So, for Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you guys next week.